Our next question comes from Random Guy with a Mask who says, "Hi, Coach. There is a myth that I hear at a lot of gyms, which is training without taking supplements will have a slow result. Is that true?" Well, that depends on what you mean by supplements and what you mean by results. What kind of results are you looking for? And by supplements, do you mean actual supplements to supplement your diet, such as, macronutrients, such as protein, one of the basic building blocks of the body, if you will? Or by supplement, you mean performance-enhancing drugs? What is that word that dude from the More Plates, More Dates channel always uses, that the folks in the comments section always laugh about? Super physiological, that's the one. Super physiological results. For a lot of kids these days, they look at Instagram models, they look at all these enhanced individuals who are definitely on performance-enhancing drugs, and they start to believe that these super physiological results are the norm. And then you look at old-timey athletes like Jack Dempsey, and you think, man, he looks kind of like a normal guy. Or you look at old-timey strongmen, and they don't have all the visible muscle striations popping out. But, man, what was his name? Thomas Inch, I think it was. Oh, crazy, crazy strength on this guy. The innovator of the Inch dumbbell. Weighed about, 75 pounds, which isn't like super huge for a dumbbell. It's heavy, but there are bigger dumbbells than that. But what makes this one particularly interesting is that the handle, the bar, is about the size of a soda can, and the average person can't actually get their hand around it. And so Thomas Inch, in spite of not being a particularly large man with particularly big hands, impressed people by being able to lift the Inch dumbbell because he had super physiological grip strength. And very, very few strength athletes these days are able to lift the Inch dumbbell. I think the last guy who was actually able to do it was a guy who was like 3 times larger than Thomas Inch himself. And the dude had like giant hands, and even he struggled. Even he wasn't able to perform that task with the same ease that Mr. Inch himself was able to do. So, anyway, back to your question about supplements. We got sidetracked there a bit, didn't we? The most important supplement that you can take, food. Food is amazing. Food is magical. The first time in my life that I made some major gains, some major physiological muscle gains, I changed one very important thing about my lifestyle, and that was I doubled my caloric intake. I doubled my caloric intake, and I made sure that a considerable percentage of my calories were coming from protein. And that was it. That was it. And several months later, I put on quite a bit of size, and people started looking at me, and they were like, "Dude, what are you taking? What supplements are you on, man? What PEDs are you taking?" And I would say, "Food. I'm eating more food. I doubled my calories." "Oh, okay, but what supplements are you taking, bro?" "None. No supplements whatsoever. I'm taking food. That's it." No. Like, but what supplements? And I kept getting this question. They kept circling back. They refused to accept the idea that if you are physically active, you're out there in the gym, you're grinding, you're doing all the stuff you're supposed to do physically, but you're also putting the building blocks of muscle into your body in the form of food, that's somehow not enough. And Gordon Ryan said something, I made a whole video about it recently, where he said, you can take all the steroids you want, but if you're not eating enough food, if you're not eating the right food, it's not going to do you the type of good that you think it will. food is amazing, he went on to say. And a lot of people jumped all over that. They were like, steroids, 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 when he was making a statement about food. Okay, he may or may not have been on performance-enhancing drugs. I say that because I know at least 100 of you will say, he absolutely was, you can tell because of this and that and the other. And thank you for boosting this video's visibility in the YouTube algorithm by leaving comments in the comment section, folks. But the statement was about food and the power of food, and food is amazing, and it is absolutely true. The right levels of food, that's the best possible supplement. Will other supplements help? Will a protein powder supplement, for example, will that help you get some gains? Sure, man, sure. If you're eating a diet where you're not getting enough protein in your guts in order to grow, in order to experience the right levels of protein synthesis or whatever the buzzwords are, then sure, a protein shake once in a while is definitely going to help. Are you going to be at a severe disadvantage if you have a good balanced diet, if you're eating enough calories, if you're getting enough dietary protein, if you don't have some whey protein powder with a nice brand name on it that you paid $60 for? No! No! If you're not taking all those performance-enhancing drugs that the other dudes at the gym are taking, are you going to be at a disadvantage in the fight game? Well, you might get disqualified from the fight game because, you know, that stuff is actually illegal to use in the fight game. But Ramsey, they're all on steroids. So-and-so said so. Well, dang, man, is that the legacy you want in the fight game? Whether you're caught or not for cheating, because it is. If you break a rule, it's cheating. Let's call it what it is. If you use steroids recreationally for whatever, because you just want to be a big, thick gym bro, and you're not competing in a professional combat sport, okay, whatever, do what you want with your life. But if you're going to sign up and sign a contract, put your name on paper to that contract. But in your heart, you're saying, nope, I lied. I'm not going to honor this contract. You're no champion in my book, my friends. What kind of advantages are we talking about here? I want the variables, man. I want the details on this question. Now, usually when I answer these questions, I want them short and concise. And when somebody sends me a novel, it's very, very tempting to skip over that. Man, look at that. I'm sweating. It's hot in this room. There's no air conditioning in this little recording studio in the back. And it is in the middle of the hot, humid summer in Shanghai. It's like a swamp in here, and this is all I'm sweating. That's kind of a minor miracle, to be quite honest. But I do this for you, friends. I do this for you. Slow results. Dude. Fitness, strength gains are slow. They are slow. They are painfully slow. And they're supposed to be. If you build up an excess of muscle mass without building up the connective tissue proportionally to that, that's a problem waiting to happen. And that's one of the traps that a lot of these young men seeking super physiological results fall into. There are no shortcuts to greatness. There are shortcuts to aesthetics. There are shortcuts to superficial facades that we put up. Man, I was looking at the internet the other day, and Did you ever see that last Bill and Ted music, Bill and Ted Face the Music? And this was in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler if you haven't seen the movie, but Bill and Ted travel to the future, and they meet their older selves, and their older selves have gone to prison and started lifting, and they get really jacked. So the actors wear these muscle bodysuits. And so Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter look like these giant, big, jacked prisoners with these big old biceps and muscle striations and so on. And they're silicone bodysuits, right? And so I'm looking on the internet. Apparently, you can buy these. You can buy these. And I'm looking at this article about this, and there are all these dudes buying these, posting pictures of themselves wearing these muscle bodysuits, these skinny dudes, these fat dudes, these guys who don't have these super physiological physiques, who want to have that look so bad they're willing to go out in public wearing a costume, wearing a facade to try to get that look. If all you're after is a facade, you might as well just take a selfie and get one of those photo editing apps where you can just put chiseled six-pack abs painted on top of you and, make your muscles look bigger. You can do that in seconds with apps on an iPhone or whatever smartphone you use. If that's what you want, if it gives you the result you want, great. But I'm just assuming you want something deeper, you want something more meaningful, you want something transformative, something that doesn't just make you look a certain way, something that makes you a certain way, something that builds your character, something that makes you stronger, not just in the biceps and the pecs and the quads, but in your heart, in your soul, that makes you a man of moral substance. There is no substitute for work, my friends. Forget yourself, get to work. Thank you for watching. Get out there and train.